Hello, fourth graders. It is time to put some things together. So now today we are going to find variables, and we are going to do this using multiplication, addition, subtraction, and we're going to use two steps. Up to now, we've kind of been only doing one step. Either we isolate or we find just one n. Well, today we are going to practice both rules of algebra together. So let's take a look at what that means. Remember, there are two steps in algebra. The first step is to isolate the n, that is to get the n all by itself. And the second step is to get down to just one n all by itself. And they happen in order. So we're going to practice both of them this time. We're going to put them together in order to do this. And of course, remember that we're going to need to use inverse operations or opposite operations in order to do this. So let's get started right away. We're going to combine these skills. So we're going to take both steps and we're going to put them together. So I'm going to give you this equation. 2n plus 4 equals 20. So now I want 2 times some number, then I'm going to add 4 to that, and whatever I get there, that will equal 20. So whereas before it was really easy to see what n equaled, this time it's a little harder because there's extra stuff. So I'm going to teach you how to get rid of the extra stuff so that it makes much more sense and goes much quicker. All right. There are two steps in algebra. The first step is to isolate the n, or the n's in this case. So I have a plus 4 here. I want to get rid of the plus 4 because it's keeping those n's from being by themselves on one side. So what do we do when we have a situation like this? Well, we take it away. So these two are not alone. They're not isolated. The 2n is not by itself because that pesky plus 4 is keeping it from getting there. So let's look at step 1. Step 1 is we isolate the n's. So how do we isolate? Well, we take 4 away. We take it away. It's keeping it from being by itself, so get rid of it. But remember, what we do to one side, we also do to the other side. So what does that mean for us? Well, we're going to at this point actually rewrite our equation. It's really important that we don't try to do this all in one step. We don't try to do this in our head. Just write each step down, rewrite it after each step so that it becomes clear and easy. It may seem like more work, but trust me, it's a whole lot less thinking and it goes a whole lot faster if you just simply write it down. All right, so 4 minus 4 equals 0. 20 minus 4 equals 16. So if 4 minus 4 on the left side equals 0, I can get rid of it. It goes away, leaving me with just 2. So we're going to rewrite this. That leaves me with 2n equals 16 because 20 minus 4 equals 16. So the 4 goes away on the left side, leaving me with just 2n. The 20 gets subtracted by 4, leaving me with 16. All right, now this looks very familiar to what we tackled in one of previous assignment when we had sort of the simple just 2n or 4n or 3n equals a single number. So now we're going to kick into step 2. And since step 2 is to get down to just 1n, we're going to use that skill. So 2n, we're going to divide that by 2 because we're using the inverse operation and I want to get it down to 1n. So 2 divided by 2. And of course, what I do to one side, I need to do to the other side as well. So I'm going to do 16 divided by 2 as well. What does 2 over 2? What does 2 divided by 2 turn into? Well, that turns into 1. 16 divided by 2, well, that turns into 8. So this means that my answer is n all by itself, isolated, and just one of them is 8. And does this work? Well, let's put it back in there. What is 2 times 8? That's 16 plus 4. What do you know? That is equal to 20. So they balance. You can see here how putting these two steps together and making sure that we rewrite in the middle actually allows us to solve a fairly complicated equation in just 2 very simple steps that you already know. All you're doing is putting together those 2 skills that you already know into a slightly more complicated version of something that you can do. Let's practice another one because it's always good to get a couple of these in here. All right, so let's try a second one. This is 6n minus 3 equals 39. All right, so the first thing I'm going to notice is that these are not alone and that I'm going to need to try to isolate them. Think back to what happens when we have that negative number. We're going to do the inverse operation, the opposite operation, which means if I have a minus 3, I need to actually add 3 in this case because I want to cancel it out. I want to get rid of it. I want to turn it into 0. So I'm going to add 3, and what I do to one side, I do to the other side as well. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Negative 3 plus 3, that's 0. That goes away. 39 plus 3, that is 42. Now, I don't want to hold all this in my head. That is too much for me to remember. It's too complicated. I'm going to rewrite what I've got because I want it to be clear, and I want it to be simple, and I want it to take very little brain power or thought. I'm not more smart, or I'm not more brave for trying to do this in my head. In some ways, I'm more foolish for trying to do it in my head because I'm going to get lost and I'm going to get confused. So take that foolishness out, write it down, rewrite it. So what happens? That negative 3 and the plus 3 cancel, they turn into a 0 and go away, leaving me with only 6n on the left side. 39 plus 3, that's 42, leaving me with 42 on the right side. Great. This looks like something I can handle. This looks a lot like step 2. So let's solve that. How do we get rid of the 6n? I want just 1n and 1n alone. Well, I've got 6. We're going to do the inverse operation. This is 6 times n. We're going to divide both sides by 6 in order to cancel those two 6's out. 6 sixths turns into 1n. 42 divided by 6. Well, what do you know? That is 7. So n equals 7. And we can check. 6 times 7, that's 42. Take away 3, that's 39. All right. I want you to practice this one. This is going to be more complicated. This is kind of what we've been working up to this point. We're going to put these two steps together, and we are going to solve some equations. Good luck.